Hi, I am a little bit giddy this morning because I am here with Anna Jane Casey, the Salford-born musical theatre legend who made her professional debut in the West End just aged 16 as Rumpelteazer in Cats. Since then, she has been in so many shows, from Joseph to Chicago, West Side Story. She was an original in Sondheim's Sunday in the George with Park. I've said that the wrong way around.
It's all right.
You know the one I mean, that one. And award-winning performances in Mac and Mabel, which I actually saw you in. It was phenomenal. And a regular singer with the John Wilson Orchestra. And she even popped up on our TV screens on New Year's Eve in the Sondheim Old Friends concert. So it's an absolute pleasure talking to you today at Manchester Theatres, Anna. So thank you so much.
My pleasure, sweetheart.
And she's coming along to the Lowry in Mother Goose alongside Sir Ian McKellen and John Bishop from the 5th to the 9th of April. Yeah. So Mother Goose. This is a version of a traditional Panto story written by Jonathan Harvey. So it's got this modern twist where they all start living in an abandoned Debenhams because they can't pay their energy bills. And then they kind of go on all these adventures. So what can you tell us about your version of Mother Goose?
Well, Jonathan, as we said, he also writes for Coronation Street, the phenomenal Jonathan Harvey. He wrote Gimme, Gimme, Gimme. If everyone's like, you know the guy, he's hilarious. He's one of the funniest men I've ever met in my life, and I would consider myself quite funny, but he is beyond hilarious. So when he was putting it together, because Mother Goose is, I think it's always done when Mother Goose has, she has a moment she has to weigh up. Is she going to go this way or is she going to go that way? But in our story, she's tempted because she's very happy in her lovely little abandoned Debenhams, which is an animal sanctuary. So we have, I've just noticed behind me, how camp is that? I've got my Mother Goose background.
I love it.
So she owns this animal sanctuary and she'll welcome any waifs and strays, but of course there's temptation, isn't there? Because we have to have, in Panto, you have to have a good and evil side. We have good fairy and a bad fairy, and they're having a wager. So it's like the heavens are having a wager over her life. Mother Goose and her husband Vic, played by the gorgeous John Bishop, who's the nicest man in showbiz, they get delivered this goose, who is me, Scylla Quack. Hilarious. I get dropped down from Gooseland in a way to tempt Mother Goose to see if she's going to stay true to her, her heart and just be kind and loving, or is she going to be tempted, and is she going to sell the goose that's going to make her life great by laying the golden eggs? Is she going to sell her for fame and fortune? She could be bigger than Beyonce, as the line says. And it's whether that temptation takes over. I mean, take a guess as to what happens. She's going to take the temptation, but then it all comes lovely in the end, because as we all know, and I think the last couple of years have shown us that, even though we can't pay our energy bills, all you really need, and I do hold true to that. I've got 2 kids. All you really need is love and affection and somebody to love you and you to love somebody. And you can battle through anything. Yeah. You can always sell a kidney on the internet.
Absolutely. You've got another one.
Exactly, you don't need 2, it's fine. So yeah, it all comes good in the end, but it is a brilliant modern twist on it, because I don't think in previous encounters of this pantomime you've had people worrying about their energy bills, or saying you can go and host the Oscars. So there's a lot of brilliant cultural references to what we've been looking at in the last couple of months in our lives.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. It just sounds so cool. And obviously every good panto has cracking song and dance routines in there. And I've heard that this one's got some proper sort of banging 80s and 90s tunes. So I want to ask you, what are your favourite songs in here? But also, I also want to ask, I've heard a cheeky rumour that you're singing one of my all-time favourites. So I want to know if that's true or not. Don't Rain on My Parade.
Absolutely. So you probably know this anyway, but if you don't, here's a little scoop. So I wasn't meant to be doing the show. I was meant to be sitting at home in my lovely house, off, and I just finished doing the show Cabaret down in London at the Kit Kat Club with the lovely Eddie Redmayne. Oh, I sound like a right name dropper. And I was, like I say, planning to have time off, but the management of the producers of ATG, who produced Mother Goose and produced Cabaret, and all the way through Cabaret, I was the one going, oh, I'm menopausal and I'm really old. So then when lovely Mel Gidrodge, as in Mel and Sue, had to withdraw from the pantomime, the first thing the producer thought of was, remember that gobby bird who was always going on about being menopausal? So that's me. So poor Jonathan Harvey, who'd written this phenomenal script about soggy bottom, bottoms, and Sue had to change it all. So he quickly Googled me on the internet and went, oh, hang on, she sung Don't Rain in My Parade at the proms a good few years ago. Let's stick that in. And Jonathan and I, before we knew each other properly, he said to me, I'm sorry, darling, I don't know if you're going to be able to hold for a good 4 minutes the whole show on your own. I was like, give me a minute.
She's got it. She's got it.
So a moment where all the famous people go off stage, I'm on my own, dressed as a goose, singing Don't Rain on My Parade in a pair of orange Crocs. So it doesn't get more mad than that. As for favourite songs in the show, that's a good one as well. I'm a proper 80s and 90s girl. I mean, I'm 107. I'm 51. But in dancers' years, I'm pretty dead. So to get all these brilliant like 80s and 90s tunes for me is fantastic.
Yeah.
And some of our younger members of the company were like, boom shakalak. I've never heard that. I was like, come on now.
Oh yeah, you do start doing this.
Exactly. And I think, we listen to Radio 2 in our house, and I think those songs are just sprinkled into your subconscious anyway. So even my 10-year-old knows, all the ones that we do. She knows Enough Is Enough, Barbara Streisand and Donna Summer. That's a good one. There's some great sing-along tunes. We've not gone for, BTS or whatever else would be the most modern things, but that kind of nostalgia is really lovely for an audience, because an 8-year-old and an 80-year-old will be able to sing along.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously we've said like song and dance routines, panto staple, but also you've got your slapstick, your innuendo, your puns and all these things, and then set pieces are obviously a big thing in panto. So I don't know if you're allowed to tell us anything, but I've heard in this one, there's the custard pies, we've got the cake baking, but then something about an aeroplane.
Yes. Well, how the heck is Mother Goose and Vic, John Bishop and Ian McKellen, how are they going to get to Gooseland? Wait a minute, we're in Debenhams. So cut to this. I mean, I don't want to spoil it all, but yeah, there is a moment where they do fly above the clouds and beyond the moon to get to Gooseland. I'm going to leave it at that because you've got to come. Because if I tell you, you'll be like, all right, I've seen it now then.
Yeah. No, we need something there for sure. It's intriguing. And obviously the other thing, it definitely sounds like this version of Mother Goose dances to the beat of its own drum completely, even to the point that it's a touring pantomime and it's not Christmas. So exactly. So yeah, definitely doing things its own way. Has that kind of thrown any of you, or has it meant that you've had to change the structure, or was it always intended not to be at Christmas?
No, it was always intended. Jonathan's been very clever. We don't do a white Christmas moment. We don't sing any tunes. Father Christmas doesn't pop up. And I think that's why because Ian McKellen was the guy who first touted this to the management and said, I want to do Panto again. I want to do Mother Goose. He's a funny one because he said, I not only want to do Mother Goose because the title's me. I was like, what hilarious. He said, because it's not necessarily based at a festive time. And you're too young to remember, I'm sure, but I'm 103. And I can remember as a kid seeing a pantomime in Easter time. I must have only been about 9 or 10, but I'm sure it was either Des O'Connor or Danny LaRue. And it might have been at the Opera House or the Palace Theatre in Manchester. Because pantos traditionally, I'm talking the 50s, 60s, maybe into the 70s. It must have been the 70s because that's when I'm born. That panto played in London for like a month, and then they had a little break, and then they took it around to the different provinces. So you could go and see Danny LaRue slapping her thighs. Sorry. So it always went on that way. And Ian said, I always remember that as a child. It went on for longer. It wasn't just it didn't finish on January the 1st, and that's what you want to bring back. So, and I wouldn't be surprised if other pantos who will now take our version and go, we can do that, as long as, like I say, you're not bringing on the White Witch and a whole snowstorm and going, oh, presents for the kids. It is something that is just, you can carry it on. And if it's not specific to a season, but also I'll be laying eggs in Salford at Easter, which is brilliant.
Hey.
Eggs. Yeah. So we'll probably be throwing cream eggs at you by the time we get to the Lowry.
Well, that's another reason to come. Anyone throws chocolate at me,
you get free sweets. You get Ian McKellen tap dancing, and one of our reviews very early on said, it's like a fever dream, but I really enjoyed it. And that's literally what it is.
Brilliant. So obviously you've been mentioning Sir Ian McKellen and John Bishop there. Now you're working alongside them. You've worked along other big names in your career, Rita Henshaw, obviously we've mentioned Sondheim, Michael Ball. Yep. What has it been like working with these two? Obviously you've got a trio of Northerners, And
yes.
and you're all kind of experts in your own field, but at the same time you do all cross over as well, so it's just brilliant casting. What's it been like with them?
Rehearsals were really interesting, and I think John will admit this as well. John is so used to doing his stand-up show on his own, so he turns up, he knows his material. If a show starts at 7:30, he'll turn up about 7:20, put his shirt on, go, I'm all right, and then go on and do his thing. So in rehearsals, we had 4 weeks rehearsals. For the first 2.5 weeks, John Bishop was the quietest, strangest, most reserved man, and we were all like, we don't like him, he's an oddhead. And then about 3 weeks in, he kind of went, oh my God, okay, there's all these people, because there are 15 of us in the cast. He'd never collaborated like this before, and now he is, from being very shy as well. I mean, as dancers and musical theatre people, we're always just stripping our clothes off, getting your pants on, and John was like, oh my God, I'm not sure about this, and he wasn't sure about the hugging and the darling, how are you? Let me tell you, that man is now the campest person I've ever met in my whole life. At one point in the show, another point I won't reveal, he wears a quite a sensual outfit. And at first he was a bit, I'm not too sure. Now he's mincing around backstage, spinning around like he's like RuPaul's Drag Race. So that was interesting to meet him and his kind of the background he's from. Now, as for Ian, this is remarkable. So one day I'm sitting down and I said to him, Ian, how does a lad from like near Bolton get to go to RADA and the RSC? And he said, I'm going to stop you there. I never went to RADA. I was like, well, where did you train? He said, well, I did very well at school. And I got, I went to a grammar school and I got my place at Cambridge. He said, I went to Cambridge and I just did a bit of drama when I was there. I was like, okay. He said, and then when I left, I auditioned for all the rep companies. There was Birmingham rep, Coventry rep. I think there was probably some other places as well. He said, I just auditioned as a jobbing actor. This is a young man in his early 20s. Got the job, did his training on the job. He's never trained as an actor, which blows my mind. And then he said, and then I auditioned for Laurence Olivier. I was like, there's a name drop. He said, I saw this advert in the paper. They're auditioning for members of the RSC, a new company. He said, and then I just started from there. But for me, holding his hand every night, because there's a lot of hand holding, he's the loveliest, kindest, warmest human being. And he grabs my hand and I cannot help but go, I'm holding Magneto's hand. It's Magneto. A lot of people have the Gandalf reference, but for me, it's Magneto. So I've got hilarious, chiseled-jawed, punk-o-matic housewife's choice, John Bishop, and then Magneto. So I'm in my absolute element. It's joyous.
Yeah. It is. It's just insane. He is, and I've never met Sir Ian McKellen, but I do have a little sort of connection with him in that, like you say, the loveliest man. I'm not going to go into it because I don't like, but basically, I run a drama school, and after the Manchester Arena, there was a lot of my students that were horrifically involved, and he sent a personalised video message to them to just keep the spirits going. So yeah, he's an incredible person. It meant a lot.
He is ridiculously kind, and he hates people hearing it, but he's 83. So he says, stop telling everybody. I said, you should be proud of it. You should see him. That man has more energy than all of us put together. It is quite remarkable, and he's strong as an ox. When you grab hold of him, he's like rock hard. I love him. He's amazing.
He's brilliant. So obviously we've mentioned that you started 16 in the West End, and I do have to confess that I've actually followed your career right back from that age, because when you and your sister were children, obviously you went to Lupino's dance school in Bury. I actually went to Judith Edwards' School of Dance.
Oh my God! Did you ever meet at festivals?
So we were at festivals at the same time, and things like that. So when you made it, you were like this inspiration to every stage school kid in Bury. It was incredible. So I just want to know, to finish, kind of who your inspirations have been, but also what would you say to all of those, sort of that new generation of children out there now who are thinking, I want that, I want to do that?
I always say this, I do a lot of masterclasses at vocational colleges, whether that's arts educational, Mount View, those kind of schools. And we'll do a nice class. And at the end, I always give 10 to 15 minutes of a Q&A, because I think they deserve to know. And then any questions you can ask me, I'm never shy about answering questions. The one thing I always say is never, ever give up. This business is really hard. It's really hard. You will get more rejection than what we call in the business, we call them muggles. What muggles will never experience. Somebody who works in a bank, they can get that job, and if they want that job, they can hold it forever. You will get say, Karen, you're going to audition and you're going to get the lead in Wicked. Brilliant. You're only going to be there realistically for a year. So you're going to have all that excitement and the being at the front and having the big green face and earning a lot of money, but after a year it's gone. and you have to audition again. As actors, we are constantly trying to get approval and trying to get that job. So never give up. One of my mottos is never give up, never surrender. Never be rude. Never always turn up, smile, don't be a dick. That's another one. Don't be like, oh, I can come in for my audition, but my throat's really sore. They don't want to hear that. No. And sing a different song that doesn't hurt your throat. And also learn more skills to your bow than you ever thought you'd need. If you can dance, if you can tap dance, you can ballet dance. If you can learn some ballroom, there's loads of stuff online. Learn to play an instrument. I play the ukulele. It's not the most difficult instrument in the world, but I know I can walk into a bar and say, I've got a little 30-minute set. Do you need somebody? Bunga's £100 and I'll play for you little cute songs while you people are eating. If you play the piano, you're set, play the guitar, do anything and teach and learn. You're always learning on the job. I mean, going back to Ian, when he said to me, I never went to RADA, I never trained. Learn on the job, do anything you can. If you can volunteer with a little local community choir, you're going to sing with those people. You got to hone your skills all the time. But yeah, never give up, never surrender, because it's really hard.
Yeah, that is incredible advice. Like you say, it's just keep going, you're never too old to learn, keep learning. Yeah,
absolutely, totally. I mean, look at the Oscars the other day, 2 women in their 60s won Best Supporting and Best Actress. Come on, there's hope for us yet, babes.
Come on. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Everybody go along to watch Mother Goose. It's at the Lowry from the 5th to the 9th of April. You're going to have the best time, and from the sound of it, you're going to get loads of sweets and chocolates as well. So there's a reason to go on its own. Yeah. Is there anything left you want to say as to why people should come?
You will have to, John Bishop does a little 5-minute stand-up at the beginning, and he says, you're going to, leave all your troubles outside. You will forget that the world is quite crappy, and you'll go on with a handbag full of Haribo. Nothing. 2 hours of joy and a load of sweets. Yeah.
There we go. You've got it there. There we go. Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time. And I did say, tell me, Dad, that I would get in his dad joke. So this is for you, Dad. Go to watch Mother Goose because you would be quackers to miss it. There you go.
Go on, Dad. I love it.
Come on, Dad. Oh, thank you so much. And we will see you very soon at the Lowry. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.